I'm a scooteria around you all, and I'm going to go on, and I'm just going to win this race. Welcome back to Push Push. I'm Danielle Davis.
I'm Shannon Kessler.
We are your girlfriend's guide to Formula One racing.
And hopefully we won't have as many penalties today as the USGP was doling out like fucking candy this weekend. Trick or treat, baby. No. Penalty for you. Penalty for you. Except for Charles Leclerc. Penalty for you. Everybody gets penalties.
Sounds like a lot of griping. When
right out of the gate, man. I'm hot and heated.
People are just so mad at the referees, but
so mad at the refs.
Sometimes you just are winning. Mad. When you just win, it doesn't really matter.
Well, yeah, good on you and your Canes and your Charles Leclerc.
I had a big weekend, guys.
You did. Don't want to take away from your victories.
All ups, no downs. Miami Hurricanes, big win. Charles Leclerc, big win. I mean, I'm just gonna sit and bask in the glory of being a winner.
Yeah, listen, I have no notes for Charles. He did great. He deserved driver of the day. He deserved to win that race. He deserved to have his teammate back him up and do a 1-2 punch. The old Ferrari. That is not where the fight in me burns with the heat of 1,000 suns.
Okay, well, before you talk about all the things that have got you hot and bothered, let's just take a moment and reflect on how sweet Charles Leclerc, not only did he win, but he went out and won this race.
Yeah, he did.
He went out and won it. He said, get Max and Lando. He said, y'all continue to fight with each other. You guys keep fighting, keep bickering. I'm just going to go, I'm going to scoot around you all. I'm a scooteria around you all. And I'm going to go on, and I'm just going to win this race. I'm going to win, and that's what we're going to do.
Yep.
And then didn't look Carlos back. Came in second. First time a 1-2 Ferrari in Austin since 2006. Let's go.
There we go, Tifosi. I see you out here just being so happy, being so excited. I love it. It was great. They did great.
I think that's also 3 wins this season for one sweet Charles Leclerc. Put some respect on his name. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, he's only doing iconic shit only for Charles Leclerc. And yeah, that's it. Just a win, a happiness. We can wrap up the podcast now. It's just wrap it up. Driver of the day, P1. It's all done. We're here. Just Charles.
Well, that's great. And you guys, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next week.
I honestly have nothing else to say about it. I do, but I could. But really, if we wrapped it up, this would be fine.
Well, it'd be fine. Minute 3, and we're done.
That's what I have to say. So feel free. I know the weekend was long. The race was full of penalties and emotions and things, but for others,
it felt like there was I feel like the good people of Austin, Texas that got to go to the race and that had a good time, they got their money's worth. I feel like they paid a pretty penny, but there was so much racing, starting at 1:00 on a Friday, and the racing didn't stop until 4:00 or whenever, 5:00, 6:00, I don't even know, on Sunday. It was a lot. I felt like there was all the racing was happening in Austin this weekend.
It was a lot. There's a lot happening in Austin too. And then the football game.
Yes.
And the influencers and the people and the brands and the things.
Activations and the portraits and all the cowboy hats.
So many cowboy
hats. Boy, did we really nail that one last week or what? We said it, delivered.
Yeah, there was a lot of cowboy cosplay.
A lot of cosplay last week. I was like, oh, God.
Ferrari boys hit the cowboy hats. Alpine boys hit the cowboy. What?
Yeah, can we please talk about the Alpine of it all?
What?
The race suits looked like the mom that puts their kids in matching pajamas so that she doesn't yell at them. Like, that is what those 2 Alpine boys look like. Those look like little footy pajamas, and I was like, this isn't cute. Like, whoever designed the race suits, that wasn't it. I did not like them.
Well, they were Indiana Jonesing too, weren't they?
They
They're
were,
just
and
doing a lot.
it felt like they were wearing Indiana Jones styled pajamas, and, like, their little hats were just like, you wear it before bed and then you have to take them off. I hated the whole thing. Like, the livery on the car, I didn't hate. Like, that was like, "Oh, okay, that's kinda nice." But the everything else, I was like, "No. No. No, thank you. Nope.
Well,
Mm-mm."
I don't think that they probably really liked it that much either, but, they're good soldiers.
I don't think they really like much. I think Pierre likes his girlfriend. I think Ocon likes his girlfriend. I think that's where it
Well, they
stops
hate
for
each
those
other,
2. They hate
that's
each
for
other.
sure.
And they hate their car. So it's like, I don't, I'm just getting paid to be here. I'm fine.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, respect.
Yeah.
Um, Valtteri did not do as much cowboy cosplay, but did you see our girl Morgs was with Tiffany?
I did.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've mentioned it on this pod enough, but we are big, big fans of Morgan Riddle. She
Morgan
is
Riddle.
she is the girlfriend of Taylor Fritz, but that's
She's
not
so
why
much more.
she's so much more. I mean, honestly, Taylor's her boyfriend. Like, that is
Yeah.
how we shall refer to
Her
him.
boyfriend
Like,
plays tennis.
right, exactly. Like, it's not the other way around, so don't get it twisted.
Uh,
She's fantastic. And honestly, I was influenced and I bought a pair of boots that she posted. I was like, "Oh, I like those."
Oh, the Schutz ones or
Yeah.
Schultz ones. Yeah, she was with Tiffany, so I loved that for her.
What a great crossover. I mean,
Mhm.
this is what we've been asking for. Give us a
Yeah.
wag and give us an influencer that we love and let
I
the magic
wasn't
happen.
no, I would never have picked those 2 to,
No.
meet up, but I love that.
Yeah. I would have seen more of like a Carmen. I think her and Carmen would have had a good time.
Speaking of wags, and then we'll get back to the race
Yes,
because
okay. Mhm.
Kelly was there.
I did see Kelly there.
Kelly was there.
Yeah, I did see Kelly.
So she's gonna be on this tour. She's gonna go
Yeah.
Austin, Mexico, Rio. She can go home.
Obviously, she's gonna go home to
Yeah.
Brazil. Yeah.
So,
And then
okay.
she'll have to be in Vegas too, but
So we can go back to the race now.
okay, back to the race. So sorry.
But we don't. I don't really care. We don't have to talk about the race at all. We already know.
Oh my
who
god,
won.
yes we do. Yes, we do. There was so much drama in this race, and okay,
First safety car since
you know,
since Montreal.
I told Dan this prior to the race starting. He's like, "Who do you think is going to win?" I was like, I think it's going to be a close one, but I feel like we're going to get a safety car because we haven't had a red flag in a long time, and we're overdue. And he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think we're definitely getting a safety car, but I feel like we're due for a red flag."
Well, you didn't get a red flag though.
We didn't get a red flag, but we got something much worse. We got
did.
Lewis out on lap 3 because he beaches the damn Mercedes, and I don't even know. He doesn't know what happened. I don't know what happened. He just said, "Oops, sorry guys."
Yeah,
And
when
then
you
gets out
watched
of
the
the car.
replay, you were like, "Oh, he just lost the
He
back of
just
the
lost
car."
the back of the car. Yeah, and I'm like, that
Which
that
is
doesn't
wild
happen to
for
Lewis Hamilton. It
Lewis.
just doesn't. And I'm like, fuck Austin. Like there's no Danny Rick. Lewis is out on lap 3. I wanted to turn it off at that point, and I was like, I don't fucking care who wins this race. I don't care anymore. But then I was like, stop being so pouty and sit down and watch this damn race.
Lewis losing the back of the car and going into the gravel was a big surprise. I would have never predicted, especially
No.
with how successful Lewis is or has been on this track.
Yes.
Big winner multiple times. Mercedes had big plans. We talked about it last episode. They were hoping that this would be the weekend where they could really celebrate his over 350 appearances. Now that was 351st. They did not get to celebrate that. The count continues.
Yep.
But I would have not expected that. And he really wasn't next to anybody. He just lost the back of the car.
It was a Lewis Hamilton mistake. And
yeah, which you don't see very often.
They're few and far between. Exactly. So that was a hard pill to swallow. And I didn't love that. I mean, we had George starting from pit lane. And I was like, what a bleak day to be a Mercedes fan at this point, because you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know what's gonna happen in the future. You can't see what's gonna go down. But
But George, in Lewis's words, did have a mega drive.
he did have a mega drive. He finished in P6. He got around Sergio Perez and says, "Not today, sir. Let me get out here and
Yeah,
do it." And honestly, thank you, George. Thank you, Sir George. Not Sir George
he's
Russell.
not
For
Sir.
just
Yeah,
he's not
he's
Sir.
just
I'm
little baby
sorry.
George still.
It's too much respect on that name. My bad.
I was gonna say you've really come a long way if you're knighting him now,
Oh
Shannon.
no, absolutely not. No. Not gonna do that. So I was happy, and honestly, he drove great. Uh, Again, not quite sure how George gets a 5-second penalty for knocking Valtteri off the
That was
track,
yeah.
but then Max knocks Lando off the track, and then Lando gets the
Oh,
5-second penalty. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
oh, Shannon.
Yeah.
I'm on my max. I'm in my Max apologist
You
era,
really are. I know, and this is
and I'm gonna go to bat for him on this one. But before we get to that, how about so you mentioned George going around Sergio. Man, it's tough times out there for Checo.
It really is. They are just trying to paint the picture as hard as they can that, like, he is not coming back no matter what. Like, Sergio
No.
is done at Red Bull, and it'll be his own demise because they're just gonna hit the tapes in the when it's time for the review at the end of the season, and they're
Yeah,
gonna
his
bring up Austin,
performance
and they're gonna
review.
be like, "This is why we can't let you come back to Red Bull." Like, they're just
I mean, I
collecting
don't think
data at this point.
yeah, I mean, Austin's in the mix. I don't think maybe that's the key
Yeah,
one they're
no.
putting to, but Liam Lawson coming from I know you have thoughts about him. I really am neutral on him. I could care less either way, but he's coming from the back of the pack too. I mean, didn't get past Sergio, but came in the cash cab from
Yeah.
the back of the pack and get some points.
Yeah, finished in the points, which again, he had a great race and not take anything away from Liam Lawson. But I am also going to make a comment that's probably going to get me in trouble, and that's fine. But like, I figured out, like last week we posted a picture of Liam in a cowboy hat, and I was like, something's not right. Like, what is it about this photo that I don't love? And then we actually had somebody in the DMs was like, it's because we can't see his hair. His hair is what's giving him power. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like, I was like, Liam looks so different when he's got great hair. And it's just looks, and I was like, something in this cowboy hat. I'm like, it's not it for me. And this girl was like, yeah, it's because he's got great hair, and it's the hair. And I was like, yes, it is.
Okay. Well,
Now, I say that because we have seen drivers who have great hair do great on the grid. Liam is just giving fuel to that fire because he's got good hair and he did great on the grid.
I was like, where's she going with this one?
And
Okay,
I
I'll
was
let you
gonna
finish
land the
that.
plane eventually.
Yeah, so he comes from the back. I mean, he finishes in the points. People obviously a lot of rumbling that he's, got his sights sets on Checo's car. We can hit on this later, but apparently Red Bull is also hinting at a long overdue and awaited Yuki Tsunoda F1 test. So
Yeah.
he's in line for that Red Bull test. The testing is happening, and Checo, it's not looking. The future's not looking so bright.
Yeah.
But who knows? Mexico, he could he won't, but he could.
Won't. Yeah. I'd love it. Nothing would make me happier than seeing Checo win,
In
his
Mexico.
last race, in a Red Bull, win in Mexico. We've had great, the drivers have done great with their home countries and winning races. You had Lewis
Yeah.
in Silverstone, Charles in Monaco.
Max.
Max didn't win any of his home races this year.
He did it this year?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No, which
Never
was
mind.
surprising, but also
assumed.
yeah, it's easy to assume that, I know. But so let's.
He won some other people's home races.
Yeah,
So
it's fine. Yeah, it's like and everywhere. So I would love that for Checo, but we obviously know that the powers that be at Red Bull will never.
No,
They won't let that
Helmut
happen.
Marko will be doing some tomfoolery to make sure that doesn't happen. But
Yeah, He'll put a nail
Uh,
in a tire real fast.
yeah, but apparently Yuki is getting he's it's hinted, so it hasn't happened yet. So this is
Yeah.
just
Do you
rumor and
think
conjecture, but
that Red Bull has to make like are they the ones like planning all these stories in the media because
yeah.
Christian's on restriction, he's still grounded and still not allowed to talk to anybody with a microphone.
Yeah, I mean, all of them have their people leaking stuff and doing
Yeah.
all the
I,
things.
I just feel like it like all roads lead back to Red Bull when it comes to all this stuff and it's like ugh. Eh.
I mean, I think they're all playing the game. I think Red Bull
Yeah.
just probably maybe is the best at it, or the
It's easiest
most
to believe. Yeah.
prolific, maybe
Mhm.
the most consistent. Who knows?
Yeah.
But can we just also say something that it's too late now, and maybe we could start this for next year. But if you were, wanting to do a ladder bet, and just anytime Lando is in P1 and you want to make sure that you don't bet that you could be making some money
You
because it
really
happens
could.
again.
And it's
He even had a good start too. That's the thing.
he
He had a
did.
great jump. He had a great jump, but
He
man,
did have a great jump, but Max takes that lunge in the first corner, and it's like, well, there you go. Leaves that door wide open for Charles Leclerc, and he says, "See ya, suckers!" I
I
was like,
mean, he
"Damn!"
did a zip zap zop on
He
all of
did,
them.
and it
It's
was
kind of
great.
similar what to George did that one race as well.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
you guys
fight it out. You're making it too easy for the rest of us. Thank you, thank
distract
you.
each
Yeah,
other.
exactly. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot that goes on with Lando being on pole because I mean obviously he had to win to get that position, but it's like what happens that he just can't seem to connect the dots that you're in front, you should stay in front.
Well, I think some people just have different talents. Like we talk about the drivers who are better at street
Mhm.
races. We
Yeah.
talk about the drivers who are better at, like defending. Like we always talk about how, Alonso and George are so good at defending. There's all these drivers that have, your specialties. It's just like in any other sport. And Lando is great, but at so many things, the start is just it's not his forte.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And it's Max's forte. I mean, he's certainly quite good, quite adept at it.
Yeah.
I think Charles is maybe not his best, but I think Charles is great
Mhm.
at kind of like reading
Mhm.
the scene and I think Charles makes really decisive movements. Now sometimes that can be a detriment, but I think like when he makes a decision to do something, he kind of goes for it and
Yeah.
doesn't waver on it. And so I think he kind of like read the room and made that choice, where some drivers might not have been like quite as
Yeah.
quick.
And I mean I think they talk about this in one of the earlier seasons of Drive to Survive, but like starting from second place is actually a better place to start than first because you
Yeah.
do get that drag from the car in front of you and it does make it easier to overtake if you're behind someone that doesn't consistently go off the gate.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, I would, and
Orlando just
I
needs
don't
to
even
hit
know,
the
like,
sim. He needs
yeah,
to hit the
but
sim
is that
and
I was just gonna say, is that something
just
you can even work on in the sim? Like, is
I'm
the start
sure.
something that like that
Yeah.
you can do?
I'm sure. I'm just like, don't race anything past like the second lap. Just like sim, start the
Yeah.
race. It's like
Just reset,
take the game
reset.
out, blow on it, put it back in. Yeah, just like keep running the starts.
Yeah.
I don't know, but once
Okay.
again, and I say this with love for Lando, but
I
I mean not
know.
a ton of love, but
And this is, I'm kind of at that point where this was the race for me that was going to decide who was going to
win the world championship.
win the world championship. And Max is like, I'm going to go ahead and take that. So, I mean, you said it before, you think Max is going to do it. I'm going to have to agree with you because I don't see how unless he just doesn't finish for the
Yeah.
next, 5 races, like
Or he has some sort of wreck and gets totally taken out. Like no
yeah.
points
There's
at all.
57 points between them now, and I mean, could Lando do it? I think mathematically it's still possible, but like the situations would have to be so unique for 5 more races that I just don't see how that's possible.
Well,
Especially given that the FIA really just likes to give Max the benefit of every doubt. So
Okay, so let's choose. We are obviously choosing our fighters in this Max and Lando bit, but I'm gonna say I think that Max was in the right on this one. And honestly, I'm gonna go back on. I'm gonna fall on this again, this sword again of McLaren making poor decisions when it comes to trying to get Lando the points.
Yes.
If they had just swapped the positions right after that happened, he would have probably taken the position back and been fine. Like you just do that nonsense bullshit where you let him go around and then you just like get right back around
Yeah.
him, and like that's what he could have probably done. Instead, they wanted to fight it out. They, thought that they were smarter than everybody, and
Yeah.
it didn't work out that way. And then he couldn't get far enough ahead, and the 5-second penalty, boom, back underneath them. I mean, that was an easy way to keep your
Yes.
points ahead.
I agree with you for in that sense of this is McLaren's fault. This was if you needed to give it back, you should have done it. And I agree with that. And what they were waiting for it, which I also understand, is that they were like, we think this is Max's fault because Max did hit the apex, but did not leave the racing room, which in the rules it says you have to do. He did not leave the room, which should have been a penalty given that that is how they gave it to George, who did the same thing to Bottas. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I get that.
but this is my thing with the FIA that drives me so batshit crazy. If you have rules, you need to enforce them consistently
Consistently,
the
yes.
same way, not just pick and fucking choose how you're going to dole these things out. That's not why the rules exist. The rules exist to
Yeah.
keep it consistent. So if you're not going to be consistent with one, then why have the rule? Like, why have it? Like, that's what I don't get.
Well, and I
So
agree with that, especially if you're on the same race and like it's the same set of stewards who are making
yes,
these decisions. Because I do think there's going to be some variation, just like a referee or something like that. There's going to be variation from like game to game, from person to person, from race to race. But I do think in this race where you had honestly like a very similar situation occur, that this, yeah.
yeah.
But honestly, McLaren should have just swapped the position, just giving it back real quick and then just taking it back again. Like you're
Yes.
still in the DRS, like just go
Yeah.
back, take
I
it
do
back.
would we think they would have had a better fighting chance, I think, if they just would have swapped positions and said, "Okay, got it." But, like, again, I understand they were like, "No, because we didn't think we were in the wrong in that situation." Okay, and I get it. This is, like, what, 2 laps, 3 laps to go? So, like,
I think
there's
it was
not
like
enough
3 or
for
4.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like the timing on that, there's not a lot of time, and I understand you're trying to like, these are again, they're making split-second
Right.
decisions that are, way beyond our pay grade. Like, I totally understand that too. But it's the consistency of it that it just I don't understand why you have the rules if you don't enforce them consistently across the board.
Well,
That's my argument. So,
I
you
agree
know,
with that. I'm just saying on this one, I do think that Max had I think that Max was in the right on this one. And I also think McLaren should have just made the easy choice. But they didn't. And they
yeah.
got that 5-second penalty and swapped them positions.
Yeah, well, but this is again, well, I think we could have this argument all season long. It's like I do feel like Max gets away because he's been such a defensive driver from the beginning, and it's like, well, that's fine, but then if somebody else is driving defensively, why why does it why is the penalty not match for both drivers? Because you have George who drives, defensively, but he's getting dinged for it. Max who's driving defensively, but he's getting rewarded for it. So, and there was
I also think though Max has earned a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I mean, you're the world champion. Like, you don't
yes,
think Lewis got some calls when he was
oh,
out?
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, that's what kind of happens when you're the top dog. You get kind of if it's a 50-50 tie, they're usually probably going to go to the guy that's like the defending world champion. I
no,
mean,
I
I'm not
I
saying it's right. I'm just saying I think that, like, sometimes that's how he ends up getting those calls because he's just
I know, but it's like, but it's almost like he gets rewarded for them, and then I feel like that's where I don't feel like that's right. Like you're a defensive driver, and you're like, okay, well, you're still not following the rules, and yet you get rewarded for not following the rules. How is that fair?
yeah, I think on this one, I mean, I think there's been some other more egregious Max, like not following the rules. On this one, I think it's kind of a more of a like a, it's a little bit more detailed. I mean, they were racing. He had the racing line.
But he also pushed him wide. Like,
I
you
mean,
push him wide, you have to leave the space. Max even says it himself. He's like, "You didn't leave me any room." And it's like, he didn't leave you room, motherfucker. You're the one that didn't leave him room. That's what having the line means. You gotta leave him room.
I mean, I'm on Team Max on this one.
No, I mean, I get it, but no.
I just think that he had the line on it, and I think Lando made the choice to go around him on the outside. So that's kind of the.
He had to go around him on the outside because Max didn't leave him the space.
I think Max wasn't like had the line and had the clear, like he was coming from the front of the pack. Like Lando had to make the choice. I think it's honestly I'm on Max's team on this one.
Well, I still disagree. I mean, but I did hear like
And the commentators said it was Max. I mean, it wasn't Max's fault.
Well, I think the penalty came from the fact that Lando had exceeded track limits 3 times, and like that's where they decided the penalty should come into play. So like regardless of who had the racing line and regardless of how that happened, he was getting the penalty because of track, like leaving the track 3 times. So I'm like, okay, well, and if that's the argument, if that's the case, then that's black and white. Got it. But I still don't think that they treated that situation as consistently as they have treated other situations with other drivers.
Well, again, like it's certain people just get certain calls. I mean, Patrick Mahomes gets every single call. Tom Brady got every single call. Like when you're the top dog, you get them calls. Like that's how it works.
I hate it.
I mean, I agree. I'm just saying, I think that sometimes people like just you've earned kind of
You've earned the right to cheat. Okay, that's great. I love that.
not the right to cheat, but like if it's a 50-50, they're going to lean towards the guy who's, the defending world champion.
Well, I don't think it helps, in my opinion. The panning at the end of the race when Max gets out of the car and the first person he talks to is the director of the FIA.
Yeah, but that guy came up and talked to him. I mean, he walked up to him.
Yeah. Still don't think that should be a conversation you should be having right after a race. Like, do that behind closed doors so people like me can't speculate what the fuck you're talking about. I mean, like, do it behind closed doors. That's all I'm asking. You don't need to put that on television. I don't need to see it because it just makes it deeper for me to be like, oh, this is fucking rigged.
I mean, you know that I am the queen of a conspiracy theory. I keep my tinfoil hat, tucked underneath my desk, but I think that he was kind of just there.
No, if there's one thing I have learned in this sport, it's nothing is coincidence. Okay, like everything has a meaning. You can't say, I mean, Max is sitting here going like this with his hands, and like you're not talking about the same thing. We're all wondering, like, what the fuck are you two talking about? We know what you're talking about. You're talking about that last corner. That was bullshit, and you know it.
I mean, they talked about it in the cool down room too.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bullshit that they talked about it in there too?
No, but you can't talk about it with the director right after the race. That's bullshit.
All right. Well,
I hate it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and what burns me so much about this is I feel like once again it takes away from Charles Leclerc's victory. Like I just feel like this.
Oh, I don't think it took away from anything about Charles Leclerc.
Birthday weekend, he wins the race. So.
Oh, I don't think it took away from anything. I mean, as a Charles Leclerc fan, I don't think it took away from anything.
No, you were fine. You were like, I don't care.
I don't think it took away from anything from him. He seemed quite happy. Like, y'all have fun. Fight away back there. I don't know. Figure it out. Not my problem. I was winning. Yeah. Me and Carlos up here in 1-2. Y'all figure out 3-4. That's not our problem today. I mean,
back to my earlier comment. Great hair, doing great on the grid.
Yeah.
Look at those two.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think it took away from anything of Charles. I mean, he still got driver of the day. Like, I mean.
Yeah, he did. And you're going to be very surprised when I tell you who my driver of the day is.
I'm probably not. Unless it's somebody we haven't even mentioned already.
No, we've mentioned him.
Okay, so.
It's just surprising because my driver of the day is going to George Russell.
I knew you were going to say
from pit lane to 6th place. Like, that's impressive. That is impressive.
The way you waffle on George Russell is wild.
Okay, I don't like him, but I can appreciate good racing when I see good racing. Like, he did a great drive. I'm gonna give him credit for doing a great drive. Doesn't mean I like him. I've not waffled on the fact that I'm still not a fan
It
of
sounds like
George
maybe you're
Russell.
kind of a fan.
My god, no, you're so annoying. I am not a fan. It's just he did a good thing, and I'm giving him a pat on the back. Last time he was like, "Hey guys, does anybody wanna tell me how great I am?" Like, on the radio.
Well, you're like, here I am.
There you go, George. Good job.
This Ferrari one too has also made the constructors a little bit more interesting.
Ooh,
I
what do
mean,
we
everything's
got?
a little bit more interesting. I mean, Charles is close. He's in the
Oh,
obviously he's top three, so like that's not I don't think he ain't gonna win, but I think that Ferrari, has a real chance if we keep this up right now. McLaren, right now, the constructors' standings are as of October 20th. McLaren 544, Red Bull 504, Ferrari 496. I mean, this is a real
dang.
this is a real
Okay.
three-way battle.
This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, this is a real three-way battle. So I
Ooh.
think that you know
No, go ahead. You
keep up the momentum, Tifosi, because another really strong finish like that, and we could be leapfrogging some Red Bull. Poor Max out here trying to do this all by himself. Checo's not really getting him a lot of. He's really slacking on the points.
They're like, I'm not giving you anything. So, okay, I needed to find out like what is the difference in prize money. Okay, and this is the prize money for 2023 Constructors Championship as follows. First place, you get $140 million. Second place, you get $131 million. Third place is 122 million. And then
And then it
kind of
drops
nuts.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like fourth is 113, fifth is 104, sixth is 95, seventh is 87. So pretty, second and third, when it comes to like Ferrari and Red Bull, like, all three of those.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of money, but I don't think for any of those team that's like
It's going to be like, I don't think
life
it's,
changing,
no.
career changing, season changing money.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the difference in like a new era of any of these
Yeah.
teams.
Now, it could be for Haas, but not for Gene could finally pay off that debt to the Russian oligarchs, but
Also in the drivers, Verstappen is at 354, Lando's at 297, Charles is at 275. I'm just saying,
it's got potential.
keep up the momentum. And Charles said, like, he came out and saw him talking. He's like, we're in the hunt for this. Like, we want to win the constructors. So
Hey,
watch out.
get out there. Get out there and do it, Charles. Get out there and do it.
So, be on the lookout because we're here. We're ready for this little stint. This
Yeah.
little, little North American, South American jaunt.
Love it.
And yeah, there's a lot of articles about that, but I won't get into the details. But basically, we've talked to the points, and it's possible. So we're not catching Max, so we can just all again.
And that's some very unique things would have to happen 5 times in a row, and that's just not how unique things work.
No.
But
but yeah, Fred says we're bringing more upgrades. Like we're doing it all.
Love it.
He hints at a hidden upgrade.
Ooh,
so
what we hiding? What we hiding, Fred?
I don't know what we hiding.
doing?
But he said that he has hinted at internal Ferrari upgrades that allowed it to avoid the mess that some F1 teams are experiencing with new parts. So,
Interesting.
I don't know, but we're out here grinding and ready.
Love it. Before we put this race to bed, 2 things. One, I can't do this because I'm not a computery kind of person, but like, could somebody please just give us a format where we could just type in and find out how many penalties are doled out per race? Like, could we just get like a spreadsheet? Because I'm just curious from race to race what kind of penalties are accumulated. Because as someone, I'm curious. It's
Oh,
my
I bet
first
somebody
note.
has a spreadsheet out
Second note,
there that's already tracking that.
well, if somebody's tracking and you listen to the pod, please send it to f1pushpush@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Because your girls, I'm out here trying to Google this, and I'm like, I can't find the penalties, but I want to see. And my second question of the day is, how on earth did we get to a podium celebration and we got so far along and yet we didn't get the right
Yeah, the
trophies?
trophies were a whole mess, huh? But it's because they were like,
I would,
they were accused of ripping somebody else's design off, I believe.
yeah, but I'm sorry, shouldn't that have been figured out prior
Yeah,
to the
100%.
weekend? And like, you should have had enough time to get a plan B in place. But like, whoever's job that was, you dropped the ball on it. But I'm very curious, like, how long have you known that this was potentially like copyright infringement, and how long? I have so many questions that why it took
Also, couldn't somebody just
until
like
the
run out
race
to like
weekend to do that up.
a silver, like one of those fancy places where you buy wedding presents and just get like 3
Yes.
plates and get them like those silver like pewter,
Yes.
get 3 of those beautiful little like, plates and get one
Yeah.
monogrammed or something, get some engraving, going some light engraving. I feel like we could have done better. We could have like in a pinch,
Could have.
somebody could have figured something
Yes.
out.
And I know that you but this is also where it's like, do we have to
Well, I
reinvent
mean,
the
they gave him
wheel
a
like at
wheel.
every Yes, yeah. True, that Carlos dropped and I
Just
was like,
gave
"Oh
him like
gosh."
just some loose wheels.
Just gave it, here's a small Pirelli. Have with it as you wish. But like, I just feel like if you're going to be hosting the event, which you all know years in advance, you also need to have your trophy situation figured out, locked and loaded, like a year in advance. Like, this just seems like this was a last minute, like, oh shit, by the way, guys, I forgot to tell you, we actually couldn't do that
Yeah.
design. And it's like, what do you mean you couldn't do the design? I'm like, yeah, sorry you missed that memo, but like,
Also, couldn't they just like
what?
run it back to whatever they had last year? Like, why do we have to do a new one every single year either?
I don't understand. It needs to be one. It needs. I stand by this. Like, this is your trophy. Like, this is what you put
I
your
mean, it's
name
a
on.
sporting event.
This is
Like
what you're known
every
as.
iconic sporting event just has the same trophy.
Yeah.
Can't we
The Super Bowl doesn't change their
like
trophy. The Stanley Cup doesn't change their trophy. Wimbledon doesn't change their trophy. It's the same thing. Like, just keep it the same. Stop trying to outdo each other. This is not a pissing contest of who has the best trophy.
Yeah.
Just give them the damn trophy and keep
we
it the
can
same.
leave the innovation out of trophies.
Right? Put it in your car. You want to be innovative? Put it in your damn car.
I mean, that one that lit up was
Or-
kind of cool, but like we can leave the innovation out of trophies. It's not like that big of a deal.
It's fine. Yeah. Like,
Honestly, what the Coda should do is take a page out of the Miami Louisville trophy, the Howard Schnellenberger trophy that we have. It's just a set of boots. Just give these guys a set of gold boots. That's what the Miami Louisville one is. It's in honor of Howard Schnellenberger. He always wore cowboy boots. Just get a gold boot and just give them that. We can leave the innovation out of trophies.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, you guys love the play on Texas, so there you go.
Or a golden hat. Just keep it simple. We don't need to do too much. It feels like we're just doing too much for the sake of it. And then clearly we did so much that we were ripping someone else's design off and we have a copyright infringement issue. So let's just take a boot. Let's just make it a hat. Like, it doesn't need to be that deep. Or just make it a trophy. Can we just have trophies?
Yeah. That's
also, speaking of trophies, they letting people on the track too early too.
Ooh, yeah. Coda's being like the bad boy of the race circuit this year. Like they're in detention.
Yeah, they got fined a lot of
Yeah.
euros.
A lot, like
Yeah, but it's
500,000 euros, was it?
500,000 euros for letting fans on the track too early, but they don't have to pay. They get 350,000 euros are basically like you don't have to pay that as long as you don't do it again before
Yeah.
2026.
They're like, as long as we can see like your
Protocols, yeah.
safety protocols have improved, then you don't have to pay the
That's
rest
a
of that.
big fine, though.
That is a big fine.
That's a big fine.
That is.
But they
yeah,
can afford it
so,
because that place is
yeah.
huge and making so much money.
The place is huge, and there's so
Yeah.
many people. So many people. Although I did think, and I don't know if you saw this or not too, but like I remember the past 2 years, like when the camera would pan over the crowd and over like the spaces. I don't remember seeing so much empty space. And I don't know if they've made spaces bigger this year at Coda, but there were quite a few times where I was like, that just looks like there should be more people. And I'm not talking like in the stands. I know like the hill was like packed, and that was like a whole new level. And I don't know if all those people just like on Sunday, this is where we're gonna go. I'm not sure, but like I just remember seeing quite a bit of open space at Coda that I'm like, I don't recall ever seeing that much open space where there weren't that many people.
I didn't pay attention that closely to that.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I can't tell you like
Yeah.
what corners it was or whatnot, but I just remember being like, that is surprising to me that it's not wall to wall.
Well, that hill looked like a nightmare.
Yeah, I was like, that is not for me.
There were so many people there.
So many people.
And if you went to Coda,
so
like, let
many.
us know. We want to hear how it was, what you thought.
Yeah. And if you went, who waved the checkered
Shannon
flag?
needs to know. We can't find it.
I need to know. I can't find it. I don't know why. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to figure this out, but like I have for the past 2 days been trying to figure this out and I cannot find it. They didn't show like because we were watching the flag go like this, but like they didn't show who it was that was doing it.
It did say that the Hawk Tua girl was set to do it, but I don't think.
But I also heard that was a rumor. And like that was never official.
Yeah, I mean that was
unless that's like a PR being like, oh, we got too much flack for this, like we can't have her do it. I don't know. Like I don't really know.
But then maybe that was. I'm getting a lot of conflicting Hawk Tua rumors, but no one has clearly said who it was. Maybe they, maybe it was going to be her, and then like they were like got so much backlash that they were like, no, we're not doing her. I don't know. And then nobody did it.
That kind of feels like.
I mean, somebody had to do it, but maybe it was just like a regular racing. Not like
I don't know,
notable figure, just a regular race official.
Yeah. Interesting. Again, I like to. Yeah, that's another spreadsheet. If somebody could add that to the same penalty spreadsheet, that would be great.
Yeah, I can't. All I can really find is that Tim Cook did it a couple years ago, and everybody hated it. But that's one of the only things. It is an elusive fact you cannot find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah, I think maybe it was just a normie. Well,
let me know who the normie was. Also, thank you to Katie Cavander from our pit crew. I'd seen this reel about a place at Coda where you could go and write Daniel Ricciardo like
I knew we were
going to
get to this.
And they'll send it to him. And I was like, oh my gosh, how precious. I love this so much. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to know, where can I send it? And Katie sent me a screenshot because she was there and she's like, this is the picture that I took. And then another one of our pit crew people sent me a link that you can send him a message via this link. So thank you to the pit crew who come in and supporting, my love letters to Daniel.
I'm going to keep my opinions on that to myself.
I would appreciate that. Thank you, Danielle. That's so kind of you. I'm going
to be generous and magnanimous because my man took the flag, and just keep how I feel about that station to myself.
I appreciate that.
But we did call. He wasn't going to show up. He didn't show up. He didn't get the keys to the city there. Yeah. I'm sure they'll do it at some other thing.
Yeah. I will say that this Enchante pop-up was probably one of my favorites. Like it was like I think it's like a service
Oh, like
shop or
a
whatever, but, like, they had, like, the 2 wrenches. Oh, this is so good. Like, that felt very on brand with, racing and service, and I don't know. I thought that was super clever. And I always think that they do a clever job with the Enchante merch, but this one was really nice. I enjoyed it.
well, are you gonna get
Yeah.
anything from it?
I'm probably not, no. No. I'm on a spending freeze.
Yeah, no new merch for me right now until
Yeah.
Sweet Charles
I'm
wins
saving
the
up for
championship. He
all
won't win
my
the championship, but that's what I'm waiting for.
yeah.
No, not really.
I'm saving up for when I have to buy a lot of red 44 stuff. So,
Well, we're waiting for you.
there's that beautiful red Ferrari sweater that is too much money to but I'm like, "Ooh,
Oh, yeah, that one in
yeah.
Tarsha sweater. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so pretty." I'm like, "Do I?
Yeah.
Do I need it?
No, you don't need it.
Don't need it."
You don't even really want it. You just like think you want it.
I no, because I feel like Louis would want me to have it. He's like,
Should we make
"Yes."
red push sweatshirts? You're wearing a push sweatshirt right now, and I know that
Yes.
you're planning to post about doing some like Venmoing for the sweatshirt. So maybe we should. Red is one of our colors. Maybe we should do a red
Yeah.
version.
I think we should do a red launch next season.
Yeah, maybe
We'll
they'll
launch
get it.
we'll launch it for the red 44 era.
Well, I'm sure we will launch it. Everyone's like listening.
Yeah,
at
or
home,
like we've been
thinking,
listening for
"Bitches,
3
you
years about your
ain't
dumb
launching
sweatshirts.
shit." They're like, "You are liars." Yeah, we are.
We are
Well,
liars. You're right. You're absolutely right.
yeah, 100%. Okay, well, you already said that George Russell was your driver of the day. So,
Yes.
do you want to say who's P1 for you?
Um, let's see. P1 is gonna go to Ferrari because they had a great weekend. They did great. I think they also handled the cowboy cosplay the best out of everybody.
As
They
one
looked
does.
they looked great. They were I don't know. It just felt like it was old school Charles and Carlos this weekend, and I don't know why, but like I felt like I haven't seen like that. I mean, they've always had good chemistry, but this just felt very genuine this weekend.
Well, and
So,
Carlos in his interview afterwards, did you hear him talking? He's like, I was really happy for the team and for like this experience here at Code. Like,
yeah.
he was kind of a little reflective.
Yeah. So it felt I don't know, it just felt very heartfelt, very genuine this weekend from start to finish. So, Ferrari, you get my P1,
Well, my driver of the day obviously goes to Charles Leclerc. And
obviously.
my P1 goes to Carlos Sainz and, the whole Tifosi.
Yay.
But I think that I agree. I was thrilled. I love when they're good. Like when they're good, they're great.
Yeah.
And the chemistry is 10 out of 10. I think they both had great weekends. I think they both drove well. I think the upgrades came through. I think the strategy is finally getting a little bit more sound. Actually, a lot more sound.
Yeah.
It's not quite as desperate times for us in the Tifosi, and that feels nice. That feels
It
nice.
does. And yeah. There seems to be a lot more like less friction
Camaraderie.
between like strategy staff and the drivers.
Yeah.
Because for a while it was like, no, this is the decision we're making for you guys. And the drivers were like, but we're the ones driving the car and we'll tell you that is not going to work right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're finally listening to the drivers, and that also translates.
Yeah, I think they're all kind of on the same page, and I think that's a
Yeah.
credit to Fred, is that he's got them all rowing in the same direction,
Yes.
which is nice. And I think he does a good job of bridging, or whoever he has in place, but also him, has a good job of bridging the gap between that strategy, engineering, garage side of things and the teams, like the drivers and stuff. So, yeah. Did you also see that cousin Carlos was in attendance?
I did not see cousin Carlos.
He was. Yeah, he was there. I saw when Charles went over to like the big wall of all the mechanics and the whole squad. Cousin Carlos was peeking his little head in there.
Was he in a puffer vest?
I do not think he was in a puffer vest. He was in a polo. He was in a nice.
Yeah, always in a collar.
But I did not see a puffer vest. He was smushed up in between a lot of guys. So unclear on his layers, but I mean, he may have had one in the morning. I wouldn't
Yeah.
doubt that he started the day with a light layer.
Yeah.
But
I could see that.
cousin Carlos was in attendance, so
Yeah.
it was nice to have eyes on him. It felt like the gang was really all back
I
together.
know. It's oh man.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Coda was kind of a lot, as I have many times aired my opinion on the sprint race. But I think the ultimate race was obviously the best of the weekend. So
Yeah, it was good. We had a lot of wheel to wheel combat. Some suspenseful battles, crazy penalties,
also
aplenty,
justice for
and then
Haas, like the Hulk is just doing light work in the middle, and like justice for him for just
yeah,
like staying consistent.
agreed. And did you see sweet little Laura?
No, that little sweet angel
Oh,
baby.
Laura
She's
Magnuson
getting
out
so
there,
big,
just
probably.
so big. She's so big. But she was in the garage and she was just being the cutest little thing. Just love
Of
her.
course she was.
She's,
I hope she takes up racing. I
I
get
do
that
too.
little nugget in a cart and let's get
Yeah.
her on the track.
I mean,
Um,
Susie's waiting for you. She's waiting for her
yeah,
girl.
get her in there.
Get her in.
She's ready. I mean, she could probably drive before she walk, just put her in one of those
Probably,
little,
yeah. Like, yeah, so cute.
she knows all it's part of her life.
Yes.
I'm so excited. Part of our life, we get another race this weekend.
I know. And we love Mexico. Like, they just do it so grand,
I
so
can't wait for the
beautiful.
F1 song.
The mariachi
Mexican
band remix. Oh, I love it. We get all the Dia de los Muertos, all the skeletons. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, I'm
Ah,
excited. I'm
so
excited
good.
for Mexico. I'm excited for Papa Perez to be on the scene. Maybe we'll get him
Yes.
mouthing off a little on the mic. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm interested to see how the race being in Mexico and this like really tumultuous time for Checo plays out. Like, are we in the media? What kind of backroom dealings are we going to have in this week that maybe come to light next week on Checo? Like right now, we're
Yeah.
getting rumblings of he's out, he's done. But like, are we going to Mexico City and then coming out with like a whole new game plan? Possibly.
Possibly. You never know. I mean, that you cannot tarnish that man's name in Mexico because they will
No.
burn you down. They
And
will.
money talks, and maybe some
Exactly.
people will show up with the money.
Yeah. What's his name?
Carlos Slim.
Yeah, Carlos Slim. Gonna be like, not in my country. I will pull the plug on your viewership.
I mean, I could see some background, some background dealings happening while they're in Mexico City. So who knows what the saga of Sergio continues.
Red Bull just needs to tread lightly,
Yeah.
Tread lightly. Yeah.
Do you want to do any quick predictions for this weekend before we wrap things up?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we don't have another repeat of last year where Sergio DNF'd at his home race because that was bleak. I do feel like I see a Red Bull on the podium. I think we're gonna get a McLaren. I think we're gonna see Lando on the podium, but I also think we'll have a Ferrari. So
I think Lando wins this one.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. I think Lando wins. I think we get a Ferrari. I think it's the same. I think it's our top three. I think it's Max, Lando, Charles, but I think the order is a little shuffle. Yeah. I think it's going to go Lando, maybe Charles, Max.
Okay. I see that.
But
I see that.
And then I think that we have kind of the same three knocking on the door to get in. I think it's, Oscar, George, and
Perez.
Carlos. No.
Carlos. Okay.
I think Perez. I think he has a better race, but I don't necessarily know if it's.
I feel like I see Perez finishing top 5.
Oh, you do?
I do. Yeah. So
I could foresee him having some sort of issue in qualifying again, and then just having a hard time getting back up to place. But I mean, who knows? You never know in Mexico. It's his home race. So
yeah. I mean, I would love nothing more than Sergio to get a win.
Also, we get to see those dope hydraulic systems with the.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Mexico is the best podium celebration. It's the best.
And that whole stadium setup, it's so freaking
so
cool.
Good. Yeah. They really do it right there. I love it.
it's such like a party after at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like most of them, it's just like you're running onto it. Theirs, it feels like a real,
Yes.
like you're in the
Pushing.
round there.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I
cool.
agree. I love it.
Okay. Well, you know what I love?
What do you love, Danielle?
One, I love when you rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to them. I also love when I'm coming out of a Charles Leclerc win. And when I'm coming out of a Charles Leclerc win, you know, I'm usually sharing a lot of Charles Leclerc content over on social. I get real rejuvenated in the socials. So you should be following us at F1 Push Push. Also, WTF, Mercedes stealing our.
We didn't even talk about that.
I know. Well,
they didn't even ask.
They didn't even ask.
They didn't even ask. I can't believe they put a documentary.
How dare
them with WhatsApp, and they have the audacity to call it Push Push.
Do you think they looked up and were like, oh, should we get this handle? And it was already claimed by these two dum-dums.
They were like, they're fine. Like, you could push with ours. It's good.
Feel free to come and offer us something for it.
Yeah, you know, it would have been nice just to be like, hey, girls, see what you're doing. Just letting you know we're going to be taking this back. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at F1 Push Push. You can now listen, or you can also now watch the podcast if you want to see our smiling faces and, you know, us rolling our eyes at each other and just being silly. Also, if you want to see the F1 merge, you can watch us on YouTube / the State of Louisville. We are proud members of the State of Louisville Podcast Network. You know, this week I had to kind of take a back seat from that because, you know, we got some canes over here. But you can watch us and you can catch up on all of their content over on YouTube. And yeah, if you want to leave a comment there, if you want to leave a question, if you want to rate and review the podcast, wherever you enjoy podcasts, there's honestly nothing that could make me happier than this moment of Charles Leclerc getting his third win, but it could compare. And until next time, push, push.